As our faces and perspectives differ, so is the sound of our voices. Welcome to Voices. I am your hostess, Siobhan Sherman, and with us today, for the first time in his capacity, serving as president of the Atlantic Caribbean Union of Seventh-day Adventists, is Pastor Peter Kerr. On May 19, 2018, Pastor Peter Kerr was installed as president and Dr. Cheryl Rolle as executive secretary of the Atlantic Caribbean Union. These changes occurred because former President Pastor Leonard Johnson was elected as Executive Secretary of the Inter-American Division at the division's mid-year meeting in March. Pastor Kerr, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Siobhan. It's so good to be with you again.
It is always my pleasure to have you here. Now, as I would have mentioned prior, there's a lot of changes that would have happened within our union as well as at the division level. But you are now sitting here as president of the Atlantic Caribbean Union.
Yes.
So can you advise us as to what exactly precipitated this reshuffling of the administration within this union?
Oh, yeah. What precipitated all of these changes was the announcement by Pastor Leto, who has served our division as president for 25 years.
Wow.
That he was now going to be applying for retirement effective month of August 2018. That is when we discovered the reason for us having an early mid-year meetings of the Inter-American Division Executive Committee. Our GC president, Ted Wilson, was in attendance. And just after the announcement by Pastor Leto, the General Conference president announced the formation of a nominating committee. That was done. The nominating committee met and came with a recommendation of the name of the division secretary, Elder Ellie Henry, to become president-elect of the Inter-American Division, succeeding Pastor Leto. That created another big opening. We now needed to find a secretary for the Inter-American Division to succeed Elder Henry. And no one knew who that would be until the nominating committee met and returned with the name of Dr. Leonard A. Johnson to be Executive Secretary of the Inter-American Division. We were all taken by surprise with all that transpired at that meeting. Not many of our unions, in fact, none of our unions saw this coming. But upon the resignation of Dr. Leto, the appointment and election of Dr. Henry, and the election of Dr. Johnson, now there was created another vacancy to be filled.
Yes.
And, that's when I got nervous. And the nominating committee met and returned with the name of Peter Kerr to be president for the Atlantic Caribbean Union. So, I couldn't understand what God was up to, but I've always been willing to follow his leading. I took it that God saw some special reason for doing this, and I am just grateful that I am in a position where I can serve my church.
Right.
That's why this is how it happened. Pastor Johnson was in shock. I was in shock. Nobody expected what was happening here. A lot of our unions, nobody could have anticipated all of this rapid development that took place in such a short time, in the space of one day.
All of this happened in one day?
All of this happened in the space of one day. Well, my appointment and election took place the second day, the following day, on the 27th. But that one meeting accomplished quite a lot of things for the church in this division. And you have to think of what this all means. Pastor Lato's service to this division has been for many, many years. The 25 years only speaks of his service as president. But he has been serving the division before.
That's true.
In many other capacities, yes. He served as youth director. He served as personal ministries director, church ministries director. And he served the general conference and returned to serve the division as president. So we're looking at 50 years of ministry given to the church by Pastor Lato. And we're so happy that God has placed in his church capable men, wonderful men, deeply spiritual men, like Dr. Ellie Henry, who could have easily transitioned into that position upon the vacancy created by the retirement of Pastor Lato. And we are so happy that this small union, Atlantic Caribbean Union,
Yes.
could actually produce the second highest ranking officer of the church in the largest division of the world church,
That's right.
the Inter-American division, with 24 unions, almost 40 different countries, and a membership of over 4 million members. This is no ordinary task for the leadership of the division. And so we pray for Pastor Lato as he transitions into retirement. We're also praying for Dr. Johnson as he moves up to that position of secretary, and Elder Lato, Elder Henry, of course, who will be the president. And I want you to know that I feel very confident that the church in this division is in good hands with the men that God has called to position of leadership now. I believe that the church will continue to rally in support of them and the cause of Christ. And I want to thank God that the Bahamas and the Atlantic Caribbean Union and the Caribbean region could have produced somebody like Dr.
Yes.
Leonard A. Johnson.
Very true.
Yes.
Very true. Pastor, the one thing that I think came out that I believe as Seventh-day Adventists we truly need to take pride in is the fact that we are an organized body of individuals.
Indeed.
The fact that you can go, while you may not know what you're going for exactly, you then find out, you accomplish a goal, and in 2 days,
Yes.
structure is restored.
Indeed.
And I think that's wonderful that the Seventh-day Adventist Church, I feel that that's almost special to us in some respect.
You're right.
That we do this. And I think it's good for the viewers to understand that this is the process in which is followed.
That's
because we have a process.
Indeed.
And so not only did Pastor Johnson become executive secretary, you then became president. And as a result of you moving, sir, from executive secretary at this union level, that too created a vacancy.
That's correct. That's
Yes.
correct.
And so
you're so right, because here it is, another first in the history of the division.
of course, as a woman, I must ensure that you say this part. Yes.
Oh, we are so happy that Dr. Cheryl Roll was considered by the Inter-American Division to be the executive secretary of this union. It is a strong and mighty, powerful statement. And the message we send that God is willing to use all of us for the glory of his cause and the glory of his name. And Dr. Roll, I considered the most competent and efficient and qualified person to have taken that position. She has served in the secretariat here at the union office for over 5 years as associate secretary. She knows the work that goes on in this department. She is the one who gives attention to details and is careful to ensure that there is accuracy in reporting and professionalism that comes out of this office. And she's well respected by the General Conference, the Inter-American Division. She's well respected by our membership here. She, of course, has served as education director.
Yes.
And she's a deeply spiritual person. She loves her church and she knows her church. And she's committed to the work of the Lord here in this union and wherever she's asked to serve. A willing, humble, pleasant, generous, kind, a Christian lady who seeks God genuinely every day for guidance and direction, and a powerful, wonderful team player. We are enjoying her company in this office, and I know that God is going to use her in some powerful way.
Amen.
To effect change and to bring about the kind of success he wants to see happen in that ministry and this department and in this union. Mm-hmm.
Yes, that is most certainly so. So we have had two major moves within the union, but we've also had an addition through the likes of Pastor Michael A. Smith.
Indeed, yes. Well, of course, with Dr. Johnson.
Again, the
moving
domino
up,
effect.
That's right, it's the domino effect. He carried certain departments. All of us in this office carry additional responsibilities apart from our substantive positions as administrators. And Dr. Johnson had the responsibility of being ministerial secretary and Spirit of Prophecy director, and I had publishing along with family ministries. Elder Sands has his positions. Also, Dr. Roll had communications and along with education and children ministries and some others. And so we thought to bring in an additional person to help us with the burden of the work. And our eyes rested on Pastor Michael A. Smith. I think he has the experience and the competencies and the spirit that we need to really work together in unity here. And so he has come in as ministerial direct secretary for the union. He will also have the stewardship department, and he will have communications department along with Spirit of Prophecy.
Wow.
Yeah. So we're looking at everybody carrying a full workload.
It sounds so. Pastor Kerr, we must take a quick break.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, please do not go anywhere. We are just beginning this wonderful discussion. When we come back, we'll be speaking more about Pastor Kerr, the installation, and his plans for us as a union. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Voices. We have been having such a wonderful discussion with Pastor Peter Kerr, the new president of the Atlantic Caribbean Union. Pastor, we would have left with you advising us as to how you would have actually become president or transitioned into this new role.
Yes.
And so you would have had your installation service at the Grantstown Seventh-day Adventist Church.
That's correct.
Along with Dr. Cheryl Roll as well as Michael Smith.
Indeed.
And so in your address to the congregation, you would have mentioned that your prayer is the following. The first, that God would help you to walk before him in humility. The second, that you would allow God to place his words on your lips. And the third, that wherever you go and whatever you do, that you would truly represent God. Pastor Kerr, why is this your prayer?
That's good you were listening to my message on that day. I took this seriously because I learned this. I learned this from Ellen G. White. She made a powerful statement in the book Colporteur Ministries, page 48. And she says this. She says, when God calls men and women into his service, he does not ask whether they have possessed learning or eloquence or worldly wealth. He simply asks will they walk before me in humility, so that I could place my words upon their lips? And will they represent me? 3 simple questions, 3 simple requirements. Not learning, not eloquence, not wealth. But do they walk in such humility that I can place them in my work? I can send them on my mission. I can teach them my way. Can I put my words into their lips, and will they represent me? I couldn't have faced the people of this union with any promises or any guarantees for the future. But I could ask my people to say a prayer for me. And this is all I ask for, that they will join me in praying, that I will walk before God in a humble spirit, that I will allow God to just fill my lips with His words so that they will be like honeycomb, sweet to the bone and health to the soul. And I'd like to know that in whatever we do as leaders in this union, whatever we do, we represent God. The Spirit of Jesus Christ must be seen in us. We must be seriously committed to God and to His work. And whatever we do, wherever we go, Jesus Christ must be seen in us. That's all we ask for. And I believe that this is what God is willing to do for all of us. So that's my prayer.
That's a beautiful prayer, and I like the fact that you're including us. We have to give you support, and we have to pray for you. Now, as you are transitioning, I'm sure it's a task in some respect, but how has the transition, or how smooth rather, has the transition been for you during this period in taking over from Dr. Johnson?
Oh, well, thank you. Oh, well, Dr. Johnson made it easy for me. We've been friends so many years, and we've worked very well together. We meshed as a team. The chemistry has been great. The synergy, wonderful. We always consult with each other. We were like 3 brothers. Roderick, Dr. Johnson, and myself were like 3 brothers. We were like 3 twins. I mean, 2 big ones and a little one. But we worked together as one. We studied the Word, we prayed together, we studied issues, we confronted issues together. We are constantly consulting with one another. And I learned a lot from Dr. Johnson. You know, I have to thank him because this is a new union. We're only just about 8 years old. And Dr. Johnson was the first person to take the bats in his hand and go to the batting crease. And he took all the shine off the ball. And I watched him face the bowling attack. If you know what I mean. I'm talking about cricketing terms. Unfortunately, not too many of us know about that.
No, not in this country.
Yeah, but he faced it well. He stood up courageously and batted his way and made a strong innings. He put runs on the board so that the ones who come after him can simply continue the innings and do well. He made it easy for me to go to that batting crease and continue to perform in the name of the Lord for the good of this union. Mm-hmm. And I want to commend him for how hard he prayed. And all of the initiatives that you see are prayer initiatives. Dr. Johnson has championed these over the years. His focus on evangelism, his focus on spirituality, his focus on unity across this field, his focus on respect and dignity and treating people with love and respect, is focused on showing gratitude to the believers for their hard work. This man who knows his church so well and is so much respected by the church in this division and around the world. Dr. Johnson is very well known by this church. He's well loved and respected by his country. And he's constantly in communication with his country, even when we travel. And he likes to share whatever information and knowledge he has. So it was easy for me. Dr. Johnson taught me a lot. I learned a lot from him. We were friends. And a lot of things, even how to use the smartphone, things that I couldn't handle. Whatever knowledge he has, he shares, he imparts. And he prays a lot. And I like a president and a leader who prays. He's a strong family man. And like I say, the brother knows his church. Mm-hmm. He knows this work. And he's strong, he's bold, he's courageous, he's committed, and I can tell you, he's humble in the midst of that. He's a humble man. And God has used him in a mighty way. So coming in, it was easy to transition because it's just another member of the team stepping into a new position and continuing the work. And I know that God will take it to another level. I'm still not sure why God has me here yet. But I believe he will reveal that at some point. And I believe he will qualify me and Dr. Roll and Elder Sands for our position. And I believe that he will pave the way for the success of his work. We're just wanting to be humble servants, to listen to his voice and do what he says, and obey him, and to fulfill his purpose in our lives, so that the will of God can be done in this union as it is in heaven.
Amen.
Yeah.
Pastor Kerr, I just want to say as a young person, I appreciate the fact that I can listen to you as a man speak highly about another man, and it's truthful and honest. And so I think it's a wonderful thing as a young Seventh-day Adventist to be living in this time, to see men of God just doing wonderful things on behalf of God. Now, you would have mentioned that Pastor Johnson would have championed a lot of initiatives and campaigns. And so I recognize whether he's here or not, you are now here. I'm sure the work still has to continue. And so advise us as to what is going on within the Atlantic Caribbean Union at this time.
Oh, so many things are happening around here. We've had a very good first 6 months, yes? South Bahamas started off with a bang on their the quadrants, the crusades that have been taking place, the evangelistic thrust.
Yes.
Cayman, they had the momentum. They too had a massive island-wide campaign in Grand Cayman. And of course, later on came North Bahamas with a crusade also. They brought in a preacher from the Cayman Islands. Turks and Caicos has been on fire. They've been moving. In fact, right now, they're still in a tent crusade in Turks and Caicos. And so all of our fields have got out of in the beginning of the year, from early in the year, with evangelism on their minds. We've seen good results for that. We've so far baptized over 1,000 souls since the year began. Wow. in all of our fields. And we have to commend the brethren for the focus and the emphasis on staying focused on evangelism, because that's what we're here for. And when we get distracted, we all suffer. And people suffer. We lose precious time and precious souls. And so we need to stay focused, and I thank God for that. But we also had a beautiful ordination service with Pastor Tanis. Took him a little time, but he finally got there. And yes, what a beautiful ceremony that was, with the entire division administration coming over and joining with us here at the union. And we had a wonderful time with the young man. We have high hopes for that young pastor and his family. And we believe that God is going to use him in a mighty way. And we have some powerful young men who have come out. We just want to make sure that they are properly mentored and that we love them and nurture them and give them all the support we can so that we continue to produce wonderful pastors for the flock here in our union. And so we have those, and we have we are looking forward to the Turks and Caicos Islands becoming a conference.
Amen, yes.
I spent 20 years there. So this has been my dream for all these years. We work together for this moment, and it will be a high moment in the life of our church in this union, but especially for the church, the Turks and Caicos Islands, when on December the 2nd, which is my birthday, they become a conference. And we have to thank God for how he leads and for the people who work so hard to build up the cause of God in our community. We're happy to see what's happening in our schools. I was at the service of graduation on Turks and Caicos. Cayman had their graduation. Bahamas Academy. We're happy to see what the schools are producing. And we want to continue to encourage our young people. We're seeing some real smart, brilliant, committed young people emerging out of our education system with a commitment for the work. And we need to help to guide them, steer them, and prepare them for mission, for the work of God in these parts of the world. So yeah, education, the youth work, and so we want to ask everyone to continue to be faithful in this regard. Yes?
Yes, most certainly. There's one thing, though, Bible Connection. I think that's the highlight for young people, and so that's something that I just wanted to point out as well as a young person.
Yes.
Bible Connection is always, always there for us during the summer months, and we are now in the summer months, and I think they're preparing now for this year's connection.
Indeed, yes. Wherever I go across the union, I'm hearing the young people talking about it. They're excited about it, and Bible Connection is in the air. Folks are preparing to, and Lord Transform Me, reaping campaigns. We are very busy now preparing for February 2 to 9, 2019.
So February 2nd through the 9th
To the 9th.
of 2019.
2019, Lord Transform Me reaping campaigns. This is when we are expecting to have preachers from all over the world preaching at 62 sites across our union territory. Here in South Bahamas, we will be having 30 sites. In North Bahamas, we'll have 10 sites. And Cayman will have 9, and so on. The Turks and Caicos and our schools will have sites. And the division will be sending in preachers. North America will be sending in preachers. And so we are looking at preachers in English and French and Spanish coming into our territory and reaping the harvest. But we have to prepare the ground. We have to do the groundwork for a massive reaping. And we need to know that we continue to talk to our pastors and our members, keep the story alive, keep the interest up, motivate the flock, train the believers, get the small groups going, distribute literature, connect with people in the community, make friends so that we can invite our friends to church. The online connect, we can do that. Bible lessons online, register people for Bible lessons. Use every available kind of evangelistic effort that imaginable to reach people for Christ so we have the biggest reaping. We are hoping to baptize 1,000 people on that day, and we have already paid money on the site, the main site. All of us in Nassau will be converging on the main site and having 6 baptismal pools. And on that day, we're hoping to have a massive baptism at his Kendall Isaac's gym.
Okay.
On that day. Already we have booked this site, paid the money down, and everybody's excited about it. Even those who manage that facility are longing to see what's going to happen there. They're excited about it and want to work with us to make it a wonderful day, great success, because God is going to be with us.
Yes, it sounds so. And I hope we all take heed. And I'm sure over the course of the coming months, getting into February, we're going to hear more and more about what's transpiring with this program of Lord Transform Me 2019.
Indeed, you will be hearing quite a bit from all of us, from all your pastors, all your leaders in our
Yes.
conferences. Yes, and you will be having more shows to remind the folks of what is coming up and how every member of the church can be a vital part of this program.
Total membership involvement.
TMI.
Yes, sir. So as we now begin to wrap up, because time is really going, I would really like for you, Pastor, to please share with your members, your friends, what is on your heart today for and with the Atlantic Caribbean Union.
Thank you so much. First thing I have to say thanks. I am constantly grateful to the church. I'm thankful to God for just making me an Adventist member. I'm glad that my mama went to church and took me with her many years ago. And I love my church, and I want to thank the membership of the church for the role they play in the church. I want to thank them for just being there with the program. We take a lot of things for granted, but our membership, our members, our faithful members, are really the life and energy of our church. They are present at our church meetings. They are praying for our pastors and our workers, even when we ourselves are too busy to pray. They're praying for the success of the program of God, and we thank our members, all of you members, for your faithfulness to God, your sacrifice of time, and your sacrifice of means and resources for the advancement of the cause of Christ. We are thankful for those who do big things and little things in the church, those who go on missions of mercy to reach people for Christ, who support our evangelistic campaigns, who do the Bible work, who sing, who read, who pray, who help organize special programs and events in our churches. These members who dedicate so much of themselves to the church. I say it, they are the energy of the church, they're the life of our church. We cannot take your service for granted. We appreciate everything they do. The technical people behind these things, those who are all direct parking in our crusades, and the ushers, look at them, standing on their feet all through those crusades. Those women who never take a seat for as long as the campaign lasts. When I go to church, first thing I want is my seat. Those sisters and brethren are standing up all through, and this is commitment. That's what commitment looks like. I want to thank our members for being so committed, for loving their church, loving their God, loving their families, loving their pastors, and treating them well. I want to thank our members for that. And I want to ask for one more thing. Members, study your Sabbath school lesson. Study your Sabbath school lesson. Especially this one. Now as we are recording the service, this program today, we are studying about the second coming of Jesus. Church, this is what it's all about. Siobhan, that's it. The Lord our God is about to set up a kingdom on this earth. A new kingdom that will be different from anything you know. It's a kingdom of peace and glory, and he wants you and me to be a part of that. He wants all of our members to be in that new kingdom. He's coming back. He's coming again. And the lesson we are studying this week is about that. Let us rehearse the lessons we have done this quarter on end-time events. And let us focus especially on the fact that we are Seventh-day Adventists. That's who we are. We are faithful to God in the keeping of the Sabbath. And we are faithfully anticipating the day when he will come and take us to be with him in heaven. That is what I enjoy as a Christian, the faith that burns in my heart. Faith in the coming of the Lord. And it puts a smile on my face. It puts a pep in my step. It puts energy in my body. It makes me want to go the extra mile and spend the extra minute with somebody to encourage them to be saved. And it encourages me as I march along. It is the faith I have in Jesus that soon he will come and put an end to human misery and take his people home. So I want my members to be with me on this important journey.
Amen. If I only say this once, Mr. President, thank you so much for setting such a wonderful tone for us, and I look forward to having you here more to speak to your viewers. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for taking this time and the opportunity to tune in with us. We hope that you will come back again. Until next time, I'm Siobhan Sherman.